Bitcoin uses as much energy as entire countries. That's a fact. Critics say it's destroying the planet. Proof of work is wasteful. We're burning coal to produce digital money. Defenders say the energy criticism is overblown. Most mining uses renewable energy. Banking uses more energy anyway. Both sides are partly right and partly wrong. This video cuts through the noise with actual data. We'll look at how much energy Bitcoin actually uses, where it comes from, how it compares to other industries, and whether the environmental criticism is justified or exaggerated. Bitcoin's network consumes approximately 150 to 200 terawatt-hours per year, depending on hash rate and efficiency. That's roughly equivalent to the entire energy consumption of countries like Argentina or the Netherlands. To put it in perspective, that's about 0.5% to 0.7% of global electricity consumption. Is that a lot? Depends on what you compare it to. It's more than most people expected a digital currency to use. It's also less than many industries nobody questions. Bitcoin's security comes from proof of work. Miners compete to solve cryptographic puzzles. The difficulty adjusts so that a new block is found every 10 minutes regardless of how much computing power is thrown at it. This means as more miners join, the puzzles get harder. More computation is needed. More energy is consumed. The energy isn't wasted in the traditional sense. It's the cost of securing a decentralized network that no single entity controls. Every transaction is validated by this computational work. That's the trade-off. This is where the debate gets more nuanced. Not all energy is equal. Burning coal to mine Bitcoin is different from using excess hydroelectric power that would otherwise be wasted. Studies estimate 50% to 60% of Bitcoin mining uses renewable energy. That's higher than most industries. Why? Miners are incentivized to find the cheapest electricity. The cheapest electricity is often renewable. Hydroelectric power in rainy seasons, geothermal in Iceland, solar in deserts during peak production, stranded natural gas that would be flared anyway. Miners go where energy is abundant and cheap. That often means renewables. Bitcoin mining is actually driving renewable energy development. In rural areas with excess renewable capacity, there's no infrastructure to transport that energy to cities. It gets wasted. Miners set up operations there. They pay for energy that otherwise has no buyer. This funds infrastructure development. Texas has wind and solar farms that overproduce during certain hours. Bitcoin miners absorb that excess. When demand spikes, miners power down and sell energy back to the grid. This grid balancing function stabilizes renewable energy economics. Bitcoin uses 150 to 200 TWh per year. Let's compare. The global banking system uses an estimated 260 TWh per year when you include bank branches, ATMs, data centers, and card networks. Gold mining uses about 240 TWh per year, including extraction, refining, and transport. Always on devices in the US alone, things left plugged in on standby mode, waste about 50 TWh per year. YouTube uses an estimated 244 TWh per year for streaming and data centers. Bitcoin uses less energy than the financial system it's trying to replace, but critics say Bitcoin doesn't need to use any energy because alternatives exist. Ethereum switched from proof of work to proof of stake in 2022. Energy consumption dropped 99.95%. Now people ask, why doesn't Bitcoin do the same? Proof of stake secures the network through validators who lock up coins rather than expending computational work. It's more energy efficient. But it has trade-offs. Proof of stake concentrates power among large coin holders. The rich get richer because staking rewards go to those with the most stake. Proof of work is permissionless. Anyone with electricity and hardware can mine. You don't need existing Bitcoin to participate. This decentralization is why Bitcoin won't switch to proof of stake. This is subjective. If you believe Bitcoin provides value, censorship-resistant money, store of value, financial access for the unbanked, then the energy cost is justified. We use energy for lots of things. Christmas lights in the US use 6.6 billion kWh per year. Are Christmas lights justified? Most people say yes because they provide joy. Video games consume massive energy. Are they justified? Gamers say yes because they provide entertainment. Bitcoin provides financial sovereignty. Whether that justifies the energy depends on whether you value financial sovereignty. If you think Bitcoin is useless, any energy is wasted. If you think it's valuable, the energy is the cost of providing that value. Energy consumption and carbon emissions are different. Using 100 TWh of hydroelectric power produces almost zero carbon. Using 100 TWh of coal produces massive carbon. Bitcoin's carbon footprint depends entirely on the energy mix. In regions powered by coal, Bitcoin mining is carbon intensive. In regions powered by renewables, it's nearly carbon neutral. The criticism should target the energy source, not Bitcoin itself. If a country's grid runs on fossil fuels, everything using electricity in that country is carbon intensive. Bitcoin isn't uniquely bad, it's just visible. Some Bitcoin mining uses energy that would otherwise be completely wasted. Natural gas is a byproduct of oil drilling. Companies flare it, burn it into the atmosphere, because transporting it isn't economical. This releases methane and CO2 for zero benefit. Some miners capture that natural gas, run generators on site, and mine Bitcoin. They're monetizing waste energy. The emissions would happen anyway. The difference is now the energy produces something instead of being burned for nothing. This is net positive environmentally. ASICs, the specialized mining hardware, have a limited lifespan. Roughly 2 to 3 years before they become unprofitable due to difficulty increases. Then they're mostly junk. This creates electronic waste. Estimates suggest Bitcoin mining generates 30,000 to 50,000 tons of e-waste annually. That's comparable to the e-waste from a small country. It's a legitimate environmental concern. Recycling ASICs is difficult because they're specialized. Most end up in landfills. This is separate from energy consumption but part of Bitcoin's environmental footprint. China banned Bitcoin mining in 2021. At the time, China accounted for 65% plus of global hash rate. Most of that was powered by coal. Miners relocated. The US, Kazakhstan, Canada, and Russia absorbed most of the hash rate. The US renewable energy percentage increased. Bitcoin's carbon intensity dropped. The ban was intended to hurt Bitcoin, but it accidentally made Bitcoin greener by pushing miners to regions with cleaner energy. This proves Bitcoin mining is mobile. It goes wherever energy is cheap and regulations allow. Texas experienced this firsthand. During the 2021 winter storm, energy demand spiked and the grid nearly collapsed. Bitcoin miners shut down voluntarily, returning 1,500 megawatts to the grid. This helped prevent blackouts. In summer 2022, during heat waves, miners again powered down to stabilize the grid. Critics ignore this. Bitcoin mining is one of the most flexible energy consumers. Industrial plants can't shut down instantly. Homes need power continuously. Bitcoin miners can throttle up or down in seconds. This flexibility is valuable for grid operators managing renewable energy intermittency. Bitcoin does have an environmental cost. 150 to 200 TWh of energy per year, 30,000 plus tons of e-waste annually. Carbon emissions tied to whatever energy mix powers it. These are real. Denying them is dishonest. The question is whether the benefits outweigh the costs. For people using Bitcoin to escape hyperinflation, authoritarian governments, or frozen bank accounts, the answer is yes. For people who see Bitcoin as speculative gambling, the answer is no. The environmental cost is the same. The value judgment changes based on what you think Bitcoin is for. Bitcoin uses significant energy. It's comparable to mid-sized countries. It's less than the traditional financial system. It's less than gold mining. It's less than always-on devices. About half of Bitcoin mining uses renewable energy. That percentage is rising as miners seek the cheapest power, which increasingly means renewables. Bitcoin's carbon intensity is decreasing over time, even as total energy use increases. The network is becoming more energy efficient per transaction as it scales. As Bitcoin's price increases, mining becomes more profitable, more miners join, difficulty rises, energy consumption increases, but efficiency improves too. Newer ASICs do more computation per watt. The network is processing more transactions per unit of energy than it did 5 years ago. Long-term, energy consumption will likely stabilize or grow slowly rather than exponentially. The limiting factor becomes chip efficiency and electricity cost, not raw hash rate growth. If Bitcoin fails, if it doesn't achieve adoption, if it's replaced by a better technology, if governments successfully ban it, then the energy was wasted. All that computation secured a network that ultimately didn't matter. This is the risk. Gold has 5,000 years of history. Bitcoin has 15 years. We don't know yet if Bitcoin's energy expenditure will look justified in 50 years or wasteful. The verdict is still out. Betting on Bitcoin means betting the energy cost was worth it. They compare Bitcoin's energy use to Visa's and conclude Bitcoin is wasteful. This comparison is dishonest. Visa is a payment layer. Bitcoin is a settlement layer. Compare Bitcoin to the entire Federal Reserve System, not just Visa. They ignore that half of Bitcoin mining uses renewables. They ignore grid stabilization benefits. They ignore that energy use doesn't equal carbon emissions. They treat all energy as equally bad when the source matters enormously. The criticism often comes from people who haven't researched beyond headlines. They claim Bitcoin uses only renewables or mostly stranded energy. The data doesn't support this. About 50% to 60% is renewable. That means 40% to 50% isn't. They dismiss the e-waste problem. They compare Bitcoin to Christmas lights or video games as if that justifies anything. Just because other things waste energy doesn't mean Bitcoin's energy use is automatically fine. They avoid acknowledging the environmental cost entirely. Honest defense requires admitting the costs while arguing the benefits outweigh them. Bitcoin consumes significant energy. This is the cost of decentralization and security. If you value those properties, the energy cost is the price you pay. If you don't value those properties, no amount of energy is justified. The environmental impact can be minimized by using renewable energy and improving efficiency, but it can't be eliminated without fundamentally changing how Bitcoin works. You can't have proof of work security without energy expenditure. The question is whether proof of work security is worth having. Don't dismiss the criticism. Bitcoin's energy use is real and significant. Don't accept the criticism blindly. Context matters, source matters, comparison matters. Form your own opinion based on data, not ideology. If you think Bitcoin provides enough value to justify the energy, own that position. If you think it doesn't, that's valid too. But make the decision based on understanding the trade-offs, not Twitter arguments from either side. Comment justified if you think Bitcoin's energy use is worth it for what it provides, or not justified if you think the environmental cost is too high. Next video, I'm breaking down Bitcoin forks, what they are, why they happen, and which ones actually mattered. Subscribe to Unbanked. The old money had a head start. You have the internet,